Abyssal Cry currently has like a nice... Hi! Hope everyone is doing well and excited for the upcoming Harvest League, which is starting on the 19th. And I am going to do another news roundup today. My name is Zizaran, if you aren't familiar with me already. First changes we're going over is the Warcry changes. To define ourselves what a Warcry should be, what function it fills, and we found that Warcry should A. Release the shockwave that taunts enemies. B. Applies either a buff or a debuff where its power is based on nearby enemies. C. Exert or power up your next few attacks with special properties. We started by reworking existing Warcries to fit into the new set of rules, and as we made new ones to fill in any gaps we felt were present. The new system now counts magic, rare, unique enemies proportionate to their power so that your Warcry scales more effectively with the content you're facing. So that makes them a lot more viable for killing bosses, which is pretty cool. It's been harder to use them against bosses, but I think that's a pretty good change. Especially against double boss. Like, they'll be really, really strong against double boss. Enduring Cry has received a relatively minimal rework. Unlike other Warcries, Enduring Cry does not exert your few next attacks. Its benefits are purely defensive. Before, we could anoint a node that made Warcries instant, and then you could put it on left mouse button, and it would just like permanently shout it. From what I can see, that's like changing, and we'll go over that a bit later too. Because this isn't the only post related to Warcries. But yeah, there are some other things that are changing too. You can still make them instant from what I understand. I believe there's a keystone. To the best of my knowledge, the Warcries are changing to have individual cooldowns now, but then they still have a cast time. If you want them to be instant, you need to take the keystone. When you take that, they share the same cooldown. Now, the important thing and like the something that's not great about it changing to a keystone is that it's harder to get keystones. You actually have to be near them. You can't just anoint it, right? But Enduring Cry looks really cool. I like the changes. Wonder how, like, short, I don't know what, like, short means in Path of Exile. It could be 0.2 seconds. It could be 5. But it looks like a very, very strong thing to use. Intimidating Cry. Previously, Intimidating Cry was only obtainable through a unique item. In addition to it now being available as a skill gem, it has undergone a full rework to be a lot more punchy and exciting. Its benefits are purely offensive. It achieves this by intimidating nearby enemies and exerting your next few attacks to deal double damage. It also provides a buff that lets you ignore some of your enemy's physical damage reduction based on nearby enemy power. Initially, this seems a bit like a fuck you Cyclone kind of league and a fuck you high attack speed builds. It really seems like they want to make things like Earthquake and Ice Crash like be the things that really shine this league. I feel like there's been a long time since we've seen that. I think it'd be cool to see like myself or a lot of other people in the ladder really pushing ladder with Earthquake and stuff like that. Because we don't see it a lot, and that is kind of fun. And it's a pretty cool skill to play. Ancestral Cry. This is a new Warcry which was designed well to work specifically with strike skills. It causes your next few strikes to also target nearby enemies, similar to Ancestral Call support. It also provides a buff based on the power of nearby enemies, which both increase your melee range as well as providing bonus armor. Something like this I see like particularly useful for Molten Strike, depending on buffs and nerfs, Flicker Strike, and another thing that's going to be really, really nice to have on like auto cast mouse button 1 and just forget about it. Seems like kind of just a free skill support gem, really. Seismic Cry. We've created a new category of skills known as Slam skills. Wanted to make a Warcry that synergizes well with these skills. It causes your next few Slam skills to have an increased area of effect and more damage, which both increase with each attack until you reset the Warcry or your exerted attacks run out. It knocks enemies back and interrupts them when it taunts them. It then grants you a buff based on the nearby enemy power, which reduces the enemy stun threshold, making it easier to stun enemies with your hits. I'm not a massive fan of the current implementation of stun in PoE. It seems like something you need to like... you generally need to have your entire build revolve around stuns and then more of a like meme stun build. And it's so easy to just, instead of that, just go crazy damage and one-shot things. So I wish it was like easier to throw it in as more of a utility thing in a lot of melee builds with like a smaller investment. Whereas right now I feel like it's hard to utilize with a small investment. But we'll see, maybe Seismic Cry is the solution or part of the solution to that. Rallying Cry has been reworked and given a new identity. It causes nearby allies to gain a buff that grants them a percentage of your main hand weapon damage based on the power of nearby enemies. It also exerts your next few attacks to deal more damage based on how many allies you have near you. Unlike most other Warcries, the power of the buffs comes from both the power of nearby allies and enemies. Works well with minions or to support a full party of allies. Well, maybe we can actually play with other people now because of Vulcan. Like, there might be a lot less lag. So that's pretty cool. The first thing that comes into mind when I see Rallying Cry now is Dominating Blow, Herald of Purity. I don't know if we can make it with anime weapon. Maybe the Yorhast anime weapon could be a thing with this. But definitely Summoner seems like it could be crazy. I think Dominating Blow is going to be insane. So I'm kind of excited for that. I've actually never played a Dominating Blow character myself. Looks very exciting. Rallying Cry looks so cool for a lot of things. Maybe there's a way to make it work with anime weapon too, or just other summons. But you give up so much with not getting like plus gem levels to minions and stuff. But we'll see. It looks really cool. This is my favorite one so far. Rallying Cry and then Enduring Cry. Infernal Cry. This was previously known as Abyssal Cry and has received a full rework. We aim to keep its old features while providing some new exciting ones to refresh its appeal. It covers the enemies in Ash, a debuff that scales with the power of nearby enemies, and also causes enemies that are affected by this debuff to explode with the fire damage they were slain, when they are slain. It also exerts your new few attacks to trigger Combust when hitting an enemy. Combust is a triggered area of effect attack skill granted by the Infernal Cry gem. It scales with attack damage modifiers and can benefit from your support. Specifically that it scales with attack damage is great and seems really thought out. I like it. Wonder how it's gonna feel. You know, like Abyssal Cry currently has like a nice thud. I hope it has like a nice thud to it. I really wish they had made it an Ice Cry because I feel like there's something they really nailed about ice in Path of Exile, right? Like the whole like shatter feeling, it just I don't know why. I just love ice in Path of Exile more than fire, more than chaos. It's just a nice oomph to it. So like a big ice cry, shattering cry, just like, everything shatters. That'd be kind of cool too. General's Cry. This is an intense new warcry that has been designed to be very open-ended in how it can be used. It's a skill/support hybrid, which melee attacks can be linked to. The warcry summons ghostly mirage warriors from corpses near you. The ghosts use one of the linked skills once before dissipating. The number of warriors you summon is based on the total power of nearby enemies as well as the power of nearby corpses. Check out the new Warcries and actions down below. I guess I could just seen Infernal Cry here. Seismic Cry. Oh, and Rallying Cry is playing with... Is that Dumblow? I think that's Dumblow. It's at least Herald of Purity. Yeah, it must be Dumblow. I'm an idiot. Ignore that. But yeah, so... Ancestral Cry. Oh, nice. Wonder how to look with Flicker. How many is it adding? A lot. It looks like it would be really good with Flicker. Intimidating Cry. 2-second buff. Enduring Cry. 3-second buff. Cooldown's pretty long. Still looks nice though. Infernal Cry. Show me that thud again. Not bad. Not bad. I think I prefer the Abyssal one, but it's also hard to tell because the music. Oh, that is kind of nice. The music is pretty loud in the video here. By default, Warcries no longer share cooldowns in order to promote builds using multiple Warcries. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. I can see this actually having a lot of use because it seems like it sounds like they're getting a lot of quality of life. Not a big fan of using Warcries when they're not instant. It definitely, that's like the main thing I'm worried about is that it's gonna feel weird not to have that keystone. And here we can show the keystone as well. Using Warcries is instant. Warcries share their cooldown. I don't know. Like I'm worried that it's gonna feel really bad not to use it. It's just such a massive leap of quality of life where you're just it's a whole new world having them instant. There's a lot of unique item rebalances as well, so we're gonna look at that. Savagery no longer grants increased attack speed with swords or chance to bleed, but has a new mod that increases your max rage by 25 while wielding a sword. Max rage, pretty cool. Regal's command no longer grants increased fist damage with axes or chance to gain a frenzy charge on kill, but now grants multiplier to your bleed damage. Huh, that is a pretty cool thing. I mean, max rage in particular are very exciting. Like the Berserk skill is like so nice. It feels so good to use. Broken Faith now has its original -10 block chance mod instead of +5 block chance. It now grants Unholy Might while you have no energy shield instead of temporarily when you block. Ooh. While holding you now create Profane Ground instead of Consecrated Ground. Huh. This new ground effect reduces all enemy resistances as well as making them more likely to be critical hit, but does not provide the life regen that Conqueror does. Nice. No life though. I don't know if someone's going to use that. Maybe on softcore, like glass cannon builds, maybe? I don't know, especially, obviously I'm biased here as a hardcore player, but an item, like the difference between a unique item having something like 50 to 80, 90 life right now is such a big difference compared to like on rares now with strength and life and hybrid, we can get up to what, like 160 life on an item now? You get like 110, 120 life and then like 50 strength. That's a lot. So then not even having like 30, 40 life on a unique, that's like such a big difference now. So I feel like it's very, very punishing. Any unique that doesn't have any life on it, extremely punishing to use. Especially on characters like Shadow or Ranger that already struggles on life. And this doesn't even have something you could use as ES, right? On an ES character, you're not going to use a shield with 30. Ungil's Harmony. I mean, kind of cool for racing or early game for Elemental Overload builds, I guess. But their EO builds are generally going to have it up enough anyway. Blood Dance. Not a big fan of that. It's fairly easy to get Cull now. And like, I mean, it's the only... I'm not a big fan of it. Yeah, I'd rather get Cull or Slayer Cull. But again, like, it's another item with no life. It's only 20 MS as well. It's just so punishing. No life. It's insane. Wildfire no longer grants Molten Strike additional projectiles or area of effect. Instead, it now allows Molten Strike projectiles to chain and gives them +1 to chain, but halves the number of projectiles created. Hopefully, we also get like a small Molten Strike buff. Maybe it doesn't need one. Like, the problem, I feel like Molten Strike is... It's so easy for it to completely take over as a skill and become like the only thing you use. I don't know. I don't know if it should be buffed. I mean, this might be enough. That's a pretty cool change. Be interesting to see how it works out in practice. Ulnatul's Embrace. The Bone Nova skill granted by Ulnatul's Embrace now triggers on hitting a bleeding enemy instead of on killing. And it's pretty high damage, I reckon. I can't remember. 474, so it's probably like 510, 520. So less than a disfavor, but if you can 6-link it and scale the Bone Nova properly, does the Bone Nova scale properly from the support gems you're gonna put in there though? I don't know. If the Bone Nova is strong enough, then it might be something. I don't know, dude. I guess you could run a double 6-link instead of running a Combs. And then just have supports that scale it like TMP. Don't know if chain, probably too little damage. Could be interesting. Be fun to see what people do with it. Hot-footed. I don't feel like this is what is going to start breaking the meta while being ignited. Maybe if they forgot to have it limited to 1. But, yeah. Brain Rattler. This is a unique I've liked for a long time and always wanted to do something with, but it's always been a bit lacking. Brain Rattler now grants 50% chance to shock enemies instead of 15. Ooh. And shocks as if inflicting 300% more damage in order to cause stronger shocks. That's really cool. It's a lot of damage and it converts. Right? Yeah, it still converts. Huh. Pretty cool. Shock is so strong. And we have like more shock from like cluster jewels now. So nice. Some pretty cool changes to items. The uniques are like... They're a little bit tame. I would also like to see more additions to the prophecy system. I think like faded uniques of items that are like, hey, this is a really cool leveling unique. Let's add like a faded version as well. And then have that be even stronger. I don't have a problem with a lot of uniques only being good early on SSF or while leveling, but I think a lot of the changes just seem like a lot of work for not like a crazy big difference, especially with like the lack of life on some of the items. Obviously biased on being on hardcore here, but like things like Blood Dance and Broken Faith, I can see they still kind of strike me as 1C items, you know what I mean? I'm not like particularly excited about those. These, really cool. The Zizaran command, really, really cool. Wildfire, pretty cool. The Embrace, really cool. Brain Rattler, awesome. They're the main things that I want to go over for today's video. Hope you're all having a great day and that you're all excited for Harvest. I am going to be playing SSF Hardcore, and this is going to be the first league where I try to stay SSF Hardcore for the entire league. Obviously, if I hate it, I'm going to switch off, but I regretted switching off in Delirium, so we'll see. Maybe I'll stay for a lot longer this time. And if you don't know, Harvest is starting on the 19th, and I will be live as normal doing 20 to 30 hour sessions for launch. So I'm gonna go pretty hard. Hope to see you there. Hope you all have an excellent day and stay safe. Thanks for watching. Try to die less than I do.